Jaden stared at the package in his hands like it was a bomb. It didn't tick. It didn't glow. But it might as well have been nuclear. He had ordered it a week ago. A high-end, programmable gaming mouse with LED lights, ultra-sensitive scroll, and buttons that clicked smoother than his chances with Theo. It was meant to be a birthday gift for his roommate. Casual, friendly, harmless. Except he bought it from a weird custom site that let you link devices to sensory feedback gear, which Jaden had only tested once during a very lonely, very dumb summer. He thought he deleted the connection. Apparently not. Now here he was, holding the gift that could turn his life into a walking disaster. Theo was sitting on the bed across the room, headphones half on, shirt rumpled from just waking up, dark hair messy and stupidly perfect. He looked up when Jaden cleared his throat. Hey, Jaden mumbled, walking over. Happy birthday. I got you something. Theo raised a brow. You knew it was my birthday? Jaden blinked. Of course. You told me. No, I didn't. Crap. I mean, it was on your student profile when we first moved in? Jaden tried. Lame. So lame. Theo tilted his head, lips twitching like he might smirk. Instead, he just said, thanks, and took the box. He unwrapped it with one hand, not even bothering to sit up properly. Jaden watched in pure agony as Theo pulled out the mouse. This is expensive, Theo said, now examining the specs like he was inspecting a grenade. Why? Jaden scratched the back of his neck, heart in his throat. Just wanted to say thanks for not killing me with your alarm clock at 6 a.m. every day. You mute it before I wake up. Exactly. I deserve a medal. Or maybe a better roommate. Theo actually smiled. A small one, but still. Jaden felt like he'd won the lottery and also been run over by it. Thanks, Jaden, Theo said, finally looking at him. And just like that, Jaden's brain short-circuited. Because Theo's voice was soft and warm, and way too dangerous when paired with his sleepy eyes. That night, Jaden lay in bed, tossing and turning, trying not to think about how the mouse might still be synced to his old, smart device. He hadn't used the device in months. It was somewhere buried in a drawer, but if the signal was still active, he closed his eyes. Click. Jaden's back arched slightly. Oh no. Click. Scroll. His breath hitched. Across the room, Theo was gaming. Clicking casually. Fast. No idea that every motion sent a subtle jolt of sensation through Jaden's nervous system, like a light brush down his spine. Not painful, not intense, but absolutely noticeable, absolutely terrible. Jaden gripped his blanket and pretended to sleep. This can't be happening, he thought, as Theo adjusted his DPI settings. Each movement sent sparks through Jaden's most sensitive zones, and he had to bite his lip to stay quiet. The next morning, Jaden practically leapt out of bed before Theo could wake up. He threw on a hoodie, avoided all eye contact, and bolted out the door like the room was on fire. He needed to fix this. The tech shop near campus was useless. You'd need to manually unpair it, the cashier said. Both devices nearby. Otherwise, the mouse'll just keep responding to the original connection. Jaden wanted to scream. He avoided Theo all day, pretending to study in the library and hiding behind vending machines when he saw him in the dorm hallway. But fate hated him. That night, he got back to their shared room, and Theo was sitting cross-legged on the bed with his laptop in front of him. The mouse, Jaden's personal doomsday device, was glowing under his fingers. You okay? Theo asked without looking up. Jaden flinched. Yeah, fine. Just tired. You look like you ran from the cops. Maybe I did. Don't judge. Theo chuckled. Jaden almost passed out. Then it started again. Click, click, scroll. Jaden went stiff, sitting on the edge of his bed like a terrified statue. Why are you sitting like that? Theo asked, peering at him. You're being weird. I'm always weird. True, Theo said. But tonight you're like extra. Jaden buried his face in his pillow. Can we just go to sleep or something? Theo didn't say anything for a while. Then, quietly, he said, You didn't have to get me anything, you know? Jaden peeked out. Why not? I'm not that fun to live with. I figured you hated me. Jaden sat up, startled. What? No. I mean, you're quiet and clean and you don't steal my food. Theo raised a brow. That's your definition of a good roommate? Jaden shrugged, heart pounding. You're also not a jerk. That's rare. Theo looked at him for a moment. Really looked. You're hard to read sometimes, he said. 1 minute you're blushing if I say good morning. Next, you're buying me a gift that probably costs half your tuition. Jaden tried to laugh. Came out strangled. You just have a scary face, he said. Theo leaned back, resting against the wall. I think you're the scary one. Jaden's jaw dropped. Me? Theo smirked. You act all nervous and harmless, but then you go and surprise me, like this mouse. Jaden swallowed hard. Why you like it? Yeah, it's weirdly responsive. Never had one like this before. Feels like I'm connected to something alive. Jaden almost fell off the bed. Cool, he croaked. Cool, cool, cool. Theo yawned and closed his laptop. Anyway, thanks. It's nice to have someone think about me, even if it's by accident. It wasn't an accident, Jaden said too fast. Theo paused. What? Jaden froze. Nothing. I mean, it was intentional. The gift, not the thing. Theo looked amused. What thing? Jaden laughed awkwardly. Haha, nothing. Sleep. Sleep is good. He turned off the lamp and shoved his face into the pillow again. This was a nightmare. This was the best day of his life. This was a nightmare inside the best day of his life. He was so doomed. But just before he drifted off, he heard Theo mutter from across the room, almost too quiet to catch. You're weirder than I thought. And for some reason, Jaden smiled. Jaden was convinced the universe wanted to humiliate him. It had been 3 days since the mouse incident started. 3 days of pretending to be normal while his body betrayed him over the tiniest movements. He couldn't focus, couldn't relax, couldn't breathe every time Theo scrolled through TikTok or played his late-night shooting games with rapid-fire clicks. And the worst part? Theo never turned the damn thing off. Jaden had tried everything. Replacing the batteries in the smart device. It didn't use batteries. Burying it in his sock drawer? Didn't help. Googling solutions? Only found disturbing fanfiction. And even whispering, please stop clicking, to the air like a cursed Disney princess. Nothing worked. Every buzz made him jerk or twitch. He once spilled an entire tray in the cafeteria just as Theo scored a headshot in-game. Another time, he randomly shouted, banana, during study group. People started calling him the nervous squirrel. So when he found himself walking down the hallway with his hoodie pulled over his head and a mission in mind, he was desperate. He burst into the tech support center on campus like a man on fire. Hi! I mean, hello! He stammered to the sleepy-looking guy behind the counter. I need help. Urgent. Roommate related. The guy blinked. Your roommate locked you out? No. He's using something that's affecting my personal space. The guy tilted his head. What kind of thing? Jaden leaned in. A mouse. Synced to my old device. I need to unpair it. Quietly. The tech guy raised an eyebrow. You mean like a Bluetooth thing? Jaden nodded so fast he nearly gave himself whiplash. Well, for that you'd need both devices nearby. Or you could just tell him. Jaden turned pale. I can't tell him. Why? Because it's awkward and humiliating and he already thinks I'm a mess and also, I like him. Okay? The guy paused. Oh. Jaden groaned and flopped over the desk. He's aloof and hot and cool and he doesn't talk much, but when he does it's like a secret bonus level you weren't ready for. Sounds intense, the guy said. It is. Still can't help you without the mouse, he added. Sorry. Jaden dragged himself out like a defeated villain in an anime. Back in the dorm, Theo was lounging on the floor, back against his bed, casually gaming with one headphone in. The mouse clicked as Jaden walked in, and Jaden immediately stumbled into the desk. Seriously, Theo said, looking over. You okay? Jaden gave him a thumbs up from the floor. Theo's lips twitched. You've been weird lately, even more than usual. Just clumsy. Jaden said, picking himself up and crashing into the chair. Happens. Theo studied him for a moment. Are you avoiding me? Jaden blinked. What? No. You're never here when I get back. And when you are, you keep twitching like I'm a horror movie character. Jaden looked at the mouse in Theo's hand like it was Satan himself. I'm just tired. Then why do you blush every time I click? Jaden froze. What? I've been watching, Theo said casually, leaning against his bed with lazy grace. It's almost like you're reacting to it. Jaden's mouth went dry. Theo smirked. Kidding. Jaden laughed too loudly. Ha 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 ha, right? That's funny. Theo kept looking at him, head tilted, eyes unreadable. Jaden turned around and faced the wall. He wanted to disappear, or time travel, or turn into a sock. Later that evening, Jaden tried to distract himself by watching cat videos with earbuds in. But every time the mouse clicked, his body would twitch just slightly. And each time, Theo would glance at him like he knew something was up. At one point, Theo stood and stretched, walking behind Jaden to grab a soda from the fridge. You're really jumpy tonight, Theo said. Just cold. Jaden squeaked. It's 27 degrees in here. Wow, you checked. You keep shivering like a chihuahua in a thunderstorm. Jaden turned pink. Maybe I am a chihuahua. You ever think of that? Theo stared at him. You're so weird. Thanks. I work hard at it. There was a pause. Theo handed him a soda. You really bought that mouse just to thank me? Jaden gripped the can like it was a life preserver. Why yeah. You didn't want anything in return? Nope. Just enjoyment. That's all. Theo stepped closer. Jaden could smell his cologne. Something clean and sharp, like rain and confidence. That's not usually how people work. Jaden laughed nervously. Well, I'm not people. I noticed. Then Theo leaned down, close enough that Jaden stopped breathing. Wanna play a game? Jaden blinked. What? Come here, Theo said, sitting at his desk. I've got a co-op game. We can test your hand-eye coordination, if you still have any. Jaden stared at the mouse, panic rising. Ah! Theo turned to him, a slow, lazy grin playing at his lips. What? Scared I'll win? Jaden's pride flared. I'm not scared. Theo raised a brow. Prove it. Jaden walked over and sat beside him, palms sweaty, heart racing. The game loaded. Theo handed him the second controller. Their arms brushed. Jaden nearly fainted. The game began. Click. Scroll. Jaden flinched. You okay? Theo asked, eyes still on the screen. Fine. More clicking. Jaden's entire body was a bundle of nerves, responding to every slight movement like it was a lightning bolt. Theo's hand moved the mouse with practiced ease, and Jaden whimpered, just slightly. Theo paused the game. Did you just whimper? Jaden's ears turned red. No. Theo turned to look at him fully. His expression was unreadable, curious, intense. You're hiding something, he said. Jaden's throat was dry. I'm not. I can tell, Theo interrupted softly. And I'm gonna figure it out. Jaden sat there frozen, heart pounding so loudly he was sure Theo could hear it. Then Theo leaned back in his chair, smirking like he knew exactly what he was doing. You flinch every time I click, he said, voice low. Why? Jaden's stomach dropped. He was so screwed. Jaden didn't sleep that night. He lay awake, staring at the ceiling, heartbeat thudding like a warning drum. Theo's voice echoed in his head. You flinch every time I click. Why? Was it a guess? A trap? Did Theo actually know, or was he just toying with him? The problem was Jaden couldn't tell. Theo was too calm, too unreadable. His face never gave anything away. And Jaden? Jaden was a walking, blushing confession. By morning, he looked like he hadn't slept in years. Dark circles, pale face, the energy of a man who had just been interrogated by the FBI and a K-pop idol. Theo noticed. Of course he did. You look haunted, he said, sipping coffee. Ghosts in your dreams? Just midterms, Jaden mumbled. We don't have any midterms. Then ghosts. Theo narrowed his eyes slightly, but said nothing. Classes that day were worse. Jaden couldn't focus. Not because of the mouse, Theo wasn't in the room. But now he had a new anxiety. The truth. What if Theo really had figured it out? What if he was just waiting for Jaden to confess? By the time Jaden got back, he was determined to do one thing. End it. He waited until Theo left for the gym, then sprinted to the desk, grabbed the cursed mouse, and swapped it with a fake one he bought at the dollar store. Same color, same shape, terrible quality, but Theo barely looked at things unless they exploded. Jaden shoved the real mouse into his backpack and buried it under his laundry. He exhaled. Finally. No more shocks. No more random jolts during history lectures. No more. Touching my stuff, Jay? Jaden froze like a criminal caught in the act. Theo stood at the doorway, towel slung over his neck, shirt clinging to his chest, damp hair tousled like he'd walked straight out of a drama. I was just cleaning, Jaden stammered. Your side was dusty. Theo stepped inside, calm and silent. He looked at the mouse Jaden had left on the desk, then back at Jaden. That's not my mouse. Jaden laughed nervously. What? Sure it is. Look, same color. Theo picked it up, clicked it once, then again. This feels like a plastic toy. Jaden grabbed his backpack and clutched it like a life jacket. Maybe yours evolved into this overnight. Jaden. His voice dropped, quiet, low, not angry, just steady. Jaden's panic spiked. Theo walked over, stopped right in front of him. Not too close, just enough to trap him with his presence. I know you swapped it. Jaden swallowed hard. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not mad, Theo said. I just want to know why. Jaden looked at the ground. It's complicated. I'm smart. Try me. Jaden tightened his grip on his backpack. You'll hate me. Theo frowned slightly. I haven't hated you yet. There was silence. Just the hum of the mini fridge. Jaden's hands trembled. Finally, Theo reached forward, slowly, and unzipped the top of Jaden's backpack. He didn't take it from him, didn't rip it open. Just gently reached in and pulled out the real mouse. He turned it over in his hand. So what's the secret? Jaden stared at the wall. It's synced to something personal. I didn't mean for it to be. I ordered it from a weird site and forgot to unlink it. I didn't realize until it was too late. Theo said nothing, just kept looking at the mouse like it was a puzzle. It reacts to clicks, Jaden continued, voice barely above a whisper. Every time you use it, I feel it. Theo's head turned slowly. Feel it? Jaden turned red. Not in a bad way, just physically, sensory, stupid. I know it's messed up. That's why I tried to switch it. I didn't want you to find out. Still, Theo said nothing. Jaden bit his lip. Say something. Yell. Laugh. Just something. Theo finally blinked, then set the mouse down on the desk. So, for the past week, every time I clicked this you were, yup, and you never told me because I like you, Jaden said, suddenly too tired to lie, and I didn't want to creep you out, or ruin everything, or lose the only person who doesn't treat me like background noise. Theo stared at him, long enough for Jaden to want the floor to open up and swallow him whole. Then Theo stepped back, sat on his bed, and let out a quiet breath. I figured something was up. Jaden blinked. Wait, what? I noticed your reactions. Thought it was allergies at first. Then I tested it. Jaden gaped. You what? Theo shrugged one shoulder. Clicked it while you were asleep. You flinched. So I did it again. You twitched. Honestly, I thought maybe you were just dreaming about flying squirrels. Jaden buried his face in his hands. This is the worst day of my life. Theo chuckled. It's not that bad. Not that bad. You were testing me like a science project. You should have told me. I tried. Every time I opened my mouth, my dignity fainted. Theo grinned. I get that. Jaden looked up slowly. You're not mad. Theo shook his head. Just confused. And curious. Curious. Theo leaned forward, elbows on his knees, eyes fixed on Jaden. You said you liked me. Jaden nodded slowly. Theo tilted his head. How long? Jaden exhaled. Since the first week. When you helped me set up my desk and called my lamp ugly but charming. I think that was it. Theo's expression softened. You're braver than you think. Jaden laughed. I'm literally shaking. You still told me. That counts. There was a beat of silence. Not heavy, just full. Then Theo smirked. So, the mouse. You want it back? Jaden shook his head fast. Absolutely not. What if I want to keep it? Jaden blinked. Why? Theo leaned closer, just a little. Because now I know what it does. Jaden's heart flipped. That's blackmail. Is it? Theo smiled faintly. Feels more like flirting. Jaden stared at him, breath caught. Then, without another word, Theo stood up, walked over to the desk, and clicked the mouse once. Jaden flinched. Theo raised a brow. Still works. Jaden groaned and threw a pillow at him. You're evil. Theo caught the pillow and tossed it back. Maybe, but I'm evil with a very responsive mouse. Jaden covered his face with both hands and whispered, I'm never going to survive this. Theo's laugh was quiet and warm. You will, he said. I'm not going anywhere. Jaden had never felt more exposed in his life. Somehow, confessing his feelings was easier than admitting what the mouse had been doing to him. But now that both were out in the open, all he could do was exist in a haze of stunned awkwardness. Theo, on the other hand, was calm. Annoyingly calm. He hadn't run, hadn't laughed, hadn't even acted surprised when Jaden admitted everything. Instead, he kept giving Jaden these quiet glances, thoughtful, unreadable, and they were driving Jaden mad. That night, they didn't talk much. Theo casually resumed his game, using the fake mouse, thankfully, while Jaden buried himself in bed with a book he wasn't actually reading. His heart wouldn't stop racing. He kept waiting for Theo to say something. Anything. But he didn't. Just played, headphones on, the soft clicks of the toy mouse finally harmless. Jaden thought maybe that was the end of it. Maybe they'd pretend it never happened. Maybe Theo would ignore it forever. Until the next day. Come with me after class, Theo said casually over breakfast. I want to show you something. Jaden blinked, nearly choking on his cereal. What? Where? Theo just smirked. You'll see. So after their last class, Jaden followed him. They walked in silence, out of the dorm, past the usual spots, and onto a quiet rooftop Jaden didn't even know students had access to. The sky was warm and soft with sunset. Theo leaned against the railing, looking out over campus like he did this all the time. Jaden stood awkwardly beside him, unsure if this was a date or an execution. Nice up here, Theo said. Yeah, Jaden replied, still tense. Cool. Breezy. Very rooftop why. Theo glanced at him, eyes steady. You thought I was mad. I was sure you were mad. Theo shrugged. I was surprised. But not mad. Jaden looked down. I didn't mean for it to happen. It was an accident. A stupid one. I didn't want you to think I was messing with you. I didn't, Theo said. But I did think you were hiding something. And not just the mouse. Jaden's chest tightened. What else would I be hiding? You blush every time I look at you, Theo said simply. I figured there was more. Jaden didn't know what to say to that. Theo turned to face him fully. You said you liked me. Still true. Jaden nodded, heart pounding. Yeah. Theo stepped closer. Then tell me something honest. No jokes. No dodging. Jaden swallowed hard. I think about you all the time, even when you're being annoying, especially when you're being nice. I like how you're quiet but you notice everything. I like how your sarcasm has timing. I even like that dumb hoodie you always wear. Theo looked down at his hoodie. Wow, brutal honesty. Jaden laughed nervously. You said no dodging. Theo's lips curled. Your turn to hear something. Jaden blinked. Okay. I like you too, Theo said softly. I didn't expect to. You're chaotic and loud and way too expressive. But you're also real. and you make the room feel lighter. Jaden stared at him. That's either a compliment or a poetic way to call me annoying. It's a compliment, Theo said, stepping even closer. You got under my skin before I realized it. And the whole mouse thing? I thought it was weird at first. But then I wondered, what if you weren't embarrassed by it? What if you wanted me to know? Jaden flushed. I didn't, at first. Theo tilted his head. But now, Jaden hesitated. Now, I want you to understand. I didn't mean to share that part of me. But since I have, I don't want to take it back. Theo studied him, serious now. You trust me that much? Jaden nodded. I do. Theo held out his hand. Then let me see it. Jaden blinked. See what? The device. The one it's synced to. Jaden turned bright red. You want to see it? Why? Theo's smile was gentle this time. Because I don't want it to be a secret anymore. If we're doing this, I want all of it. Jaden stared at him for a long moment. Then, slowly, he pulled out the small controller from his backpack and placed it in Theo's hand. Theo turned it over once, then set it down on the bench behind them. I'm not going to use it. Not unless you want me to. Jaden bit his lip. I don't know how I feel about it yet. That's okay, Theo said. We don't have to rush anything. Jaden laughed, a little breathless. We're standing on a roof talking about emotional consent while holding a smart toy. This is the weirdest relationship start in the world. Theo chuckled. Fits us, though. They stood there a while longer, watching the sunset fade into soft twilight. The wind picked up, and Jaden shivered slightly. Theo reached out and tugged him closer. Just a small pull, but Jaden ended up standing with their shoulders touching. I'll unplug it tonight, Theo said quietly. The mouse. Jaden looked up at him. Really? Theo nodded. I don't want you to think this is about that. It's about you. Jaden's heart did a slow, grateful flip. He leaned against Theo's side and whispered, You're a lot softer than I thought. Theo smirked. Don't tell anyone. I have a reputation. Jaden laughed. Too late. I'm tweeting it. Theo reached over, snatched Jaden's phone, and held it above his head. Jaden jumped, reaching for it. Give it back. Nope. I just poured my heart out. Give it back. Theo laughed, stepping back, and for the first time in forever, Jaden chased after him not with fear or anxiety, just joy. And somewhere between the laughter and the teasing, Jaden realized something. Theo hadn't just accepted the weirdness. He'd accepted him. It had been a week since the rooftop confession. A full 7 days since Jaden's life stopped being a constant loop of panic, humiliation, and unexpected shocks. The cursed mouse was unplugged, the smart device tucked safely away in the back of their shared closet. And Theo was different now. Not dramatically. He was still cool and quiet, still wore the same faded hoodie like it was armor, still left his socks in mysterious corners of the room. But now he smiled more, spoke softer, looked at Jaden like he meant to, and Jaden, after weeks of stumbling over his own feelings, was finally letting himself enjoy it. Like this morning, for example, Jaden stood at the stove in their tiny dorm kitchen, flipping pancakes with exaggerated focus. Behind him, Theo leaned against the counter, arms crossed, a small smirk playing at his lips. You're going to burn them, Theo said. I have it under control. They look like frisbees. They're crispy on purpose. Thank you very much. Theo stepped forward, nudging Jaden with his elbow. You know I like cooking, right? You also like using 5 pans for 1 egg. That was one time. It was yesterday. Theo rolled his eyes but didn't move away. In fact, he leaned closer, chin brushing Jaden's shoulder. Smells good, though. Jaden pretended not to melt. That's because I'm talented. Theo hummed. You're something, all right? Jaden turned, spatula in hand. Are you flirting with me or insulting me? I can't tell anymore. Why not both? Jaden laughed, light and free in a way he hadn't felt in ages. After breakfast, they cleaned up, together this time, and then sprawled on the couch, a quiet game running in the background while the afternoon sun poured in through the window. Jaden leaned into Theo's side without asking. It had become their new normal. Comfortable. Easy. "Hey," Theo said after a long stretch of silence. "I've been thinking." Jaden tilted his head. "Dangerous. Rude," Theo replied, flicking his ear. "But fair." Jaden smiled. "What were you thinking about?" Theo reached into the side drawer and pulled out a box. Jaden sat up. "What's that?" Theo handed it over. "Early gift, or late apology, depending on how you look at it." Inside was a brand new gaming mouse. Sleek, black, unopened, untouched. Jaden blinked. "Wait, is this?" "A non-synced mouse," Theo said with a faint smile. "Totally normal. No surprises. No shocks. Just clicks." Jaden stared at it. "So you're really giving up the old one?" Theo nodded. "You said you wanted to make sure us wasn't about that." Jaden ran his fingers over the box. "And it's not." "I know," Theo said, "but I figured it was time to prove it." Jaden looked up at him. "You're really kind, you know that?" "Don't say that out loud," Theo warned. "I've got a brand to protect." Jaden leaned closer. "Too late. I've already blogged about your soft side." Theo groaned. "You don't even have a blog." "Not yet." They laughed again, soft and close, and Jaden thought this was what he had wanted all along. Not just the kisses, though yes, he hoped for those. But this ease, this warmth, this feeling like he belonged next to someone who chose him. A few hours later, Jaden sat at his desk, staring at the new mouse in its box. He turned to look at Theo, who had dozed off on the couch, one arm slung over his eyes, legs sprawled like he owned the place. And maybe he did own something now. Jaden smiled to himself. Then, quietly, sneakily, he opened the drawer beneath his bed. Inside, tucked under a pair of socks, was a second mouse, an exact replica of Theo's favorite one. Identical in every way, except synced. Jaden glanced over at Theo, then back at the mouse. A grin spread across his face. He plugged it in, just for fun, just for one tiny click. Theo stirred on the couch. "Jaden?" he mumbled. Jaden tried not to laugh. "Yeah. Did you just Jaden said innocently. Theo sat up, eyes narrowing. "You didn't." Jaden smiled sweetly. "Didn't what?" Theo stared at him, then at the desk, then back at him. "You're unbelievable. I've been called worse. You're dangerous." Jaden stood, walking over slowly. "Then maybe you shouldn't let me that close to your heart." Theo caught his wrist. "Too late." Jaden's grin softened. "Good." Theo pulled him in gently, their foreheads touching. "Just promise me one thing." "What?" "No surprise shocks during presentations." Jaden laughed. "I swear on my most sensitive spot." Theo kissed his cheek. "You're such a menace. And you're stuck with me." "Gladly." And in that moment, warm hands, soft smiles, and the quiet hum of a secret only they shared. Jaden knew one thing for sure. He hadn't just given Theo a mouse. He'd given him his heart. And somehow, without even realizing it, Theo had given his right back.